So, yeah, if I were to do an updated video on the variation in shapes of destroyers, I would not be talking about molds at all. Other than to maybe explain what I'm about to right now, that molds are not the reason that destroyers have different shapes. In particular, like that information that I had about grind blocks and the 3 grind versus the 4 grind and patent numbers, that piece of the mold that has those scarrings in it is the least important piece of the mold. So a disc has 3 parts to the mold, okay? And this example will work fine. This is a buzz here. So if you're looking at a disc like this, and this light's totally going to screw it up. I don't know if I can. We'll try. Let me shut this light off and see if you can maybe get eyes on this. So right here is a little piece of flashing, and that's the most common point for flashing to be, is somewhere down here near the bottom. That means that there's a parting line in the mold. There's a piece of the mold that comes apart right there, okay? On this disc, there's another one right here. It's right on the nose. And if you hear somebody talking about like parting line heights on a destroyer, this is the one they're talking about, this parting line. People tend to ignore this parting line down here. The reason I'm talking about it, and that's important, is 2 parting lines means there's 3 pieces to the mold. So if there's a parting line here, that means one piece of the mold is making up the vertical sidewall and then the flat bottom. The second piece of the mold is going between this parting line and this one, and that's making the shape of the wing. The third piece of the mold is across the top. So the most 2 important ones are the ones that are on the nose going topward and then the nose going across the wing. Those are the 2 things that really change the flight of the disc. This bottom piece is like literally a right angle or maybe a slight angle to it. That's the most generic, the least important part of the mold. It's like it's just a filler. It's a filler piece, the bottom plate. And the one that has the tooling for patent numbers or grind marks is that generic bottom piece. So they could potentially mismatch and change other pieces of the mold. But the one on the bottom is the least important. And the only thing that we learned about looking at grind mark patterns and stuff like that was to identify how many bottom pieces they had, and that's just useless information. What really changes them is more complicated in how the plastic sets up.